Hi, welcome to this section in which we're going to talk about foster care reimbursement and tax issues. So the money you receive for doing foster care is considered a reimbursement and not a wage, which means you do not claim it as income on your taxes. And in order to claim a child in care in your home as a dependent, they would have to meet IRS qualifying child guidelines. And if you don't know what those are, you can just do a quick Google search for IRS qualifying child. We're not going to enumerate them here because they can change from time to time. But a lot of kids in your care don't meet those standards. And so I would say most families, they don't claim, well, none of the families claim the reimbursement as income, and not a whole bunch claim the children as dependents. So for the most part, doing foster care shouldn't affect your taxes. Now, there are some specific situations in which they may. So if you have someone who does your taxes, then ask them if they're acquainted with foster care rules, and if they're not, if they would become acquainted with those. And if you do your own taxes, get on, do some research before you do your taxes if it's anything outside the norm, and so it could affect your taxes. And then other foster and adopted parents can be of help to you too if you have specific questions, if they've come across that same thing in the future. But probably the best thing is to consult a tax professional about these issues. So the next screen is going to lay out the foster care rates. Now, if you're just listening and not viewing, you might want to take out your phone for a second and look at the screen, or later on as you're reviewing the PDF for some of the slides that are best visualized, this is one of the slides you'll want to look at. And you'll see that the foster care rates are divided into level 1, 2, and 3. Now, once you're done with pre-service training, which is the training you're going through in class and online right now, that training qualifies you to have level 1 or 2 in your home. Now, there are situations that come up from time to time where a level 3 child might be placed in your home, and we just don't know they're level 3 because maybe they've only just come into care, and we don't know all of the issues that they're presenting yet. So in that case, we, Utah Foster Care and DCFS, will help you get the training that you need in order to qualify to have that child in your care, both to be reimbursed at the level 3 rate, as well as the extra skills and knowledge you'll need to care for a child who has some more needs. Now, most kids in general foster care are probably level 1 and 2, and that will probably be the experience for many, if not most of you, with occasional level 3 here and there. You can also get proactively trained as a level 3 provider. So there's a specific training series you go through and get that training done. So if in the occasion you do have a level 3 child come to your home, you're already qualified to have that child in your care. And then within each level, you'll see that they're divided out by ages, and that's simply in recognition that older kids cost more money. They eat more food, their clothes cost more money, they want more money from you in the form of allowance and money to go to the movies. And so this is just an acknowledgement that there will be additional expenses as kids do get older. So most of you will be reimbursed somewhere between $17 and $22 a day, depending upon the needs and the age of the child in your care. Now, on this slide, additional things for you to know about. I want to just hit the first one and the last one. So all kids in state's custody are eligible for free school lunch, and that has nothing to do with your household income or size. And this child just simply qualifies because they're in care. And this applies to charter schools as well. I know we've had some questions in the past about that, and we did get clarification that this also applies to charter schools. So free school lunch is an advantage for kids who are in care. And then the last one, which is WIC. And a lot of our families do use WIC to offset the cost of particularly formula, because that can be expensive. And if you have a child in your care that is on formula, and say you've gotten the vouchers for the month, and that child leaves your home, halfway through the month, please make sure those vouchers go with the child to whoever their new caregiver is going to be. Go ahead and just give them to the caseworker. Make sure the caseworker knows to give them to the new caregiver. We've had situations where the foster family hasn't done that, and the new caregiver can't get formula for the rest of the month, until they can get for the next month. So make sure those vouchers go with the kids if the kids aren't still in your care. And then this can help supplement the child's diet, with cheese and milk and juice and those kinds of things. But it's to supplement the child's diet, not the foster family's grocery bill. And this form is your 520. You'll see this. This should be generated for you by DCFS. And I say should because sometimes that first month, there can be some issues that first month, just depending on when the child came in your home and all that kind of stuff. And so if you don't get this toward the end of the month, so probably like between the 28th and 30th of the month, let your caseworker know that, let your resource family consultant know you haven't received it, and then they can generate one for you. But it should come just automatically generated to you in the mail. You just check it over, make sure all the information is correct, the kids are on there, the dates are correct, the reimbursement rate is correct, and then you go ahead and sign this. And I know of families who will hand deliver these to their caseworker. I know of families who just mail it in. I know of families who scan it in. So talk to your caseworker about their preferred method, because you want to make sure that the caseworker is getting it and getting it done, because it can't move on to the next step, which is the actual reimbursement, until the caseworker signs off on it. So talk to the caseworker about the best way to get that done. And then your resource family consultant, your RFC, can also help you sign up for direct deposit, so that this money can go directly into your account instead of having to wait for a check and then deal with the check and all that fun stuff. So it's just a little bit more efficient for everyone. This is the one-time payment form. The two times you're probably going to see this the most is for what's called the initial clothing payment, the ICP, and that's a $163 payment for a child who's just come into care, and we need to get them set up with the basics. So socks and underwear and pajamas and dress for church and a coat and all that stuff, and that can be an expensive undertaking. So that 163 is to help offset the cost of that initial outlay of additional clothing for the child. And then you may, and just real quick, any monies that you use to purchase, any clothes that you've used state monies to purchase for the child, those clothes belong to the child. So even if the child outgrows them, those are still to be sent with the child, because that is the child's property if it's purchased with state money. So whether it's this 163 or the $41 a month that you're required to spend out of the monthly reimbursement, those things belong to the child. And the other time you may see this is around the December holidays, what's called a joyous season payment. And that is an additional little bit of money. It's not a huge amount, but a little bit of money to help purchase some gifts for the child or help the child to purchase gifts for their family. And there's also, we have several programs, which we'll talk about in the foster family support, that can help also to help purchase gifts, so that this money becomes just a little extra. And then anytime you get any special needs money or anything like that, this is just money that's above and beyond your normal reimbursement that you would see once in a while. And then the vehicle usage. What we've found is about 1/2 to 2/3 of foster families say that they actually do the foster care or the mileage reimbursement. And that's concerning, because what that means is that the people who aren't doing it aren't fully reflecting the amount of work and energy and time that's going into the care of children in the custody of the state of Utah. So we would ask that you do this and find whatever way it's most convenient, whether you keep this in each car. I know families that will use apps on their phone and then go back and backfill in this form with that information they keep in their app. However it works for you is fine. I've known families who've kind of created their own form and then use that to fill this out. So whatever works for you to make it easiest for you to claim those miles. So when you're taking children to doctor's visits and dental and visits with their parents and weekly therapy, and you're going to court and you're going to child and family team meetings, anything that you're doing because the child's in care and you're fulfilling the requirements of the case, you're reimbursed at 42 cents a mile. And if you want to just stick that all into an account, that's your car repair and new tires and gasoline account, then that's great. But take advantage of this money, because it can be significant, especially in the beginning of a case, and especially if you have a child with weekly visits with the birth parent and in therapy, and that can be significant. And maybe you have more than one child who's in different therapy, different days of the week, and that can be something we want you to take advantage of. And then finally, forms. This page on DCFS's website just allows you to access these forms we just talked about online. So if you need to, for whatever reason, like the 520, if you need to fill that out because you haven't gotten one and they haven't filled one out and gotten it to you, then this form is on the website for you to fill out and submit. You shouldn't have to do that, but there may be situations which that may come up. But all these forms are on here. And if you just go to DCFS's website and look, there's at the top, it just says forms. You just click on that and it takes you right to this page, and you'll see where it says provider only payment forms. Those are there at the bottom. So this is the information about reimbursements and tax issues. And next, we're going to talk about advocacy, schools, and court. So we'll see you then.